Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. What's happening? And welcome to another week of What's the Status. And this week I have, I'm not even gonna talk too much because I just want to jump right into my brother that I got here coming in today in today's episode. This brother has been a pioneer in my eyes. I've been very fortunate enough to have worked with him. I've been very fortunate enough to learn from him, and even just having his time and the opportunity of catching him and him giving me an allotment of a few minutes to run over some information, and most importantly, just chop it up and give you, the listeners and the viewers and all of you that are listening in, just an in-depth look at, what the status is going to be about. So today, I know in week one, we had the legendary B-Boy Quickstep DJ KS360 come on board, and he shed some light on hip hop culture. But the thing about hip hop is, as I've been coming up in the hip hop scene and in the breaking scene and whatnot, that word hip hop is thrown around loosely. So I had a B-Boy's perspective, like Quickstep, DJs, B-Boys, and he's been a pioneering legend in that aspect. But I have a brother here that he's going to shed some light, because I grew up learning that hip hop is a culture, but now it's thrown loosely into meaning a lot of different things. So without further ado, this brother that I'm bringing here to talk about hip hop culture and the definition of hip hop and the status of hip hop and dance in today's time in 2020. This brother, I got to throw some credits out there. He has performed with artists such as Eric B and Rakim. Eric B for president. If you haven't heard that one, man, like you guys got to check that out. He's also collaborated with Rosie Perez, Angie Martinez, Rod Digga, and of course, he's worked with Will Smith. And not only did he work with Will Smith, but he was nominated for 2 MTV Awards. I believe it's 2. We'll clarify that in a second. MTV Awards for Best Choreography for Men in Black, in addition to Miami, and also Getting Jiggy with It. He collaborated with him. And there is another credit that I'm going to bring up a little later. But without further ado, and let me squeeze this in there too. For those of you that saw the Michael Jordan docuseries, The Last Dance, rumor is that Jordan released that documentary to remind people that everybody's on that LeBron James bandwagon, that remember, I am Michael Jordan, and I am one that really turned the NBA to what it is today. This is how I feel about this brother. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have Buddha Stretch, Dimelo Stretch. Welcome to the status, my brother.
What's up, my brother? How are you?
Oh man, I'm really excited. I'm very fortunate. I'm very grateful. I've been working a lot on myself, and here I am starting a podcast. And look, I have you as my 5th guest on the 5th week. So I've been good, man. I've been good. How about yourself?
That's what's up. I'm good. Just trying to stay active, stay positive during this, pandemic, and trying to, just work on the inner, not just the outer.
I amen to that. And, someone with as many years as you have in the entertainment industry and everywhere you have your hands in, you know better than a lot of people as to when times get rough, how to even like look into different alleyways or different avenues to, break out of any funk and shed some light in other territories, right?
Well, I think most people need to understand that this time is a time of, you have to look at yourself. You have to make the corrections on yourself in order to make the corrections around you. This is a time to look inward and, build yourself up and, treat your own faults. They say if you do good for yourself, then good things around you will happen. If you take care of the work on the inside, that'll take care of the work on the outside.
Right. Listen, those are words to live by. And, one thing that I also live by, and it's the reason why I created this podcast along with my girlfriend, Michelle, is that, there's just an immense amount of information out there in this world. We're dancers, we're performers, we're artists, we're actors, we're whatever spectrum in the entertainment industry that you are a part of or contribute to. There's just a crazy thing about humanity that, information once traveled solely through word of mouth. And a friend of mine told me, word of mouth was the way that humanity perceived information, and that's why we love stories, we love theater. And now, we're perceiving reality with, word of mouth, but through segue of the internet and whatever you get in, on TV. But there's a lot of information that's out there that it seems like pioneers and legends like yourself can shed light on. I grew up with a lot of b-boys and dancers that they are not aware of like current events, and they have no idea that there's like, elections of some sort, or even better, they're SAG-AFTRA members and they have no idea that you can get discounts and deals and specials through your union, or even take free workshops through the union. And that's why I started this podcast, to bring people in that we can shed light, not just through the guest, even through myself. And, without further ado, I'd like to jump in and ask you a few questions, if that's cool.
Oh, that's fine. That's what we are. That's what I'm here for. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, Buddha Stretch, you're hailing from the legendary Mop Top Crew. And, I got to tell you, I worked on this film called Black Nativity some years ago. Do you stay in touch with a lot of the members of Black Mop Top Crew?
Yes, that's not just my crew. That's my family. We speak literally daily. Like every couple of days, I'm in constant contact with my crew. My best friends on earth, my brothers, Link and Khalif. I just spoke to Ejo the other day. We're always in constant contact. We're fam. We're not just a crew.
Nice. Look at that. So when I was working on Black Nativity, I met this brother that, he saw me. I think I was doing head spins, and he came up to me and he was like, yo, I'm in a crew called Mop Top Crew, and he was working in the production side of things. I don't remember his name. Do you know one of your crew members that might work on film and TV projects as in part of production?
It might have. I mean, it could be several people. That could have been a man Ade. That could have been a few people that are
It
in.
is Ade. Yep, it is Ade. Yep,
Okay.
it just came to me.
Mola
Yeah. He was like, "Yo, man, we used to go to the shelter and chop it up, man. No crew there to, step to the Mop Top Crew." And I was like, "Oh man, this is exactly who I'm gonna roll with for the entirety of this production." But
that's what's up.
Yeah. So, jumping back on that, so how did you come up in the dance scene in New York City individually and with your Mop Top Crew?
Well, first and foremost, when you were talking about the introductions with Quickstep, I came up as a b-boy also. That's how we met. I started off with popping and breaking. I started in 1982, inspired by my cousin from the South, my cousin Charles. I used to watch a TV show called Soul Train every week. And I watched, that's the first time I saw, dancing on television. And I saw a group called Electric Boogaloos, and they were doing popping. And then literally a couple of months later, we had a block party at my aunt's block. And, my cousins came up from the South, and my other cousins we were all together. And they had a cypher, and, these dudes were popping, and my cousin jumped in the cypher and started popping. And I was, blown away, because I'm like, if he could do it, I could do it. And that's what got me into the dance. And then when I got into high school, and, I started meeting other dancers, and I got into breaking and the whole hip hop culture. And it's been, part and parcel of my life ever since. As far as Mop Top, that Mop Top was originally a mantra that my father actually, it was a few things that he had said that I put together to create a mantra, because he had told me that, literally either go hard or go home. If you're going to do this, you have to do it 100% every time, or don't do it at all. And some of the words that he used, I put together as an acronym. And it Mop Top stands for Motivated on Precision Towards Outstanding Performance. And that was that was an acronym that I had, and a mantra that I had, and I shared it with Link and Khalif when we started hanging out and rocking together. And Khalif, was the one that pushed that this should be not my mantra, but all of our mantra. And we should roll like that all the time. Of course, we were all under the tutelage of my dad at the time also. So that's how it came about, and that's what it's always been about. My dad told us, and whatever we put our mind to, we had to put our mind to it 100%. No half-ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I going on, on that point, one thing that I'll always keep with me. I don't know if you'll even remember this, but some years ago when Brian Footwork Green, shout out to Brian Green, when he had the house dance conference, not when there was no competition, it was just, an event. A
Right.
DJ was playing, you just came in and you just did your thing, or vibe, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
There was this one time that I was there with, I was still a kid, I had to bribe the doorman just to get inside. And me and a bunch of my dudes from the Heights, we got in there, and you were with Khalif and I don't know, you were with some other cats. I'm not entirely sure if it was all Mop Top heads, but I was like, yo, why don't we try to go after these legendary cats and try to just bring breaking and see what they bring back to us. And let's just go back and forth. And we did. And that's something that I carry with me, because I have been labeled a bully in the breaking scene, because I was all about going to ciphers and jams and just not violently wanting to go after people, but I just wanted to, just dance and let's have a back and forth and share the floor and not to one up each other, but it's like a competitive thing that I always had. With that being said, what was the culture like and scene like when, you as a crew were coming up? Like, were people trying to come after Mop Top and Buddha Stretch, or was it more just like people were just vibing and that was it?
Well, it was a little bit of both. I mean, like I said, I'm from my background is in breaking and the original scene, and that scene was about competition. When I came into the culture, you were whack until proven otherwise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and that's the thing. One of the things that's funny, if you ever ask Khalif or Link, everything that whenever people used to bring up somebody and say that they were good, I would say they're whack. And they would always wonder, like, damn, he thinks everybody was whack. I wonder if we weren't down with him, would we be whack? And I told them, yeah, you're whack until you prove otherwise. I said, when I came into the scene, that's how the scene was. You were whack until you proved yourself. And you had to prove yourself weekly. When I was going to the clubs back then, when you got into a cipher, you had to show and prove. And you didn't get any credit for that until you've shown and proved over a period of time. Then people will be like, it's not a fluke. This dude actually has skills.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the we are the world situation that we have currently, where everybody is afraid of criticism. Back then, like I said, that was the way that things were. You had to constantly prove yourself. You couldn't talk about it. You had to be about it. And one of the things that I took that with me as I got into the whole freestyle aspect and the whole, commercial dance part of it and music videos and all of that. But I always kept that mentality of everything that you do is whack unless you do it, 100%. You have to show and prove every time in every, and in every genre and every area of expertise. You have to show and prove, and it's not, it keeps your ego intact.
Right.
It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you trying to push yourself forward. And I think people used to take that in the wrong light, like as if I'm being disrespectful. No, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm trying to push you to be the best that you could be and not rely on the hype, because too many people out here, they believe their own hype, and that's their downfall.
Yeah. And interestingly enough that you say that, I was judging a one-on-one or something like that some years ago, and I was just getting frustrated because I don't really go to competitions and jams anymore for reasons we are not going to talk about. But I decided to judge a jam, and given what we have just discussed and how I wanted to come I got my boys like, yo, let's go after Stretch and them, just to kind of like see where we're at going after like legendary people in a respectful way.
Right.
So I'm judging this jam, and there's these cats that are like, literally, they're battling, mind you, they're battling for like $500 or something like that, first place. And honestly, Stretch, it looked like they were about to exchange Instagram and TikTok information right there on there. I'm like, yo, this is a competition. Like, what the hell are we doing here? And I even took the mic from the guy's hand, and I'm like, yo, like, if this would have been like 5, 6, 7 years before now, like me and my crew would have eaten you guys alive just because of that, and that's just, I think, the mentality of the come up, being hungry has literally, I think people are coming into the scene full, so to say, because the level of, like, how you said, you are whack until proven different. I think people aren't with that mentality anymore. I don't think that sense of urgency of wanting to excel and be better isn't really there.
Well, you got to remember, we're in the time of instant gratification. So, if people don't feel the need to put in the work anymore. Like if I put a BS video on TikTok and I get 1 million views, I'm good. There's no qualification for anything. And so people don't really take in the time or put in the time or take things seriously. Like they don't take their craft. It's not a craft anymore. It's not an art. It's just something to do, that they hopefully think will be a stepping stone or lead to something else. It's something to be cool. It's not something that, you want to represent. It's no longer culturally important to represent. It's just like, oh, I'm trying to, get as many likes and views as possible.
Oh boy, you fall in that rabbit hole, and I don't even know how you recover from it. You that glamour that you get from your phone. Well, I'll tell you this, Stretch, because you were in my mind the other day. I was talking to my girl because on TikTok they've got like challenges and whatnot, and there was this girl that she literally went from like rolling it out on one side, and then she popped a wave. Now, I think it's very disrespectful to call this a wave. I think it was more like a splash of water of some sort, not even fluid. It's not even fluid. It was like mud, and I'm just like, you with a history of popping, you are a popper, and I've seen you bust out some incredible waves. Like, how do people like yourself, you come in and you see someone do something like how does that feel? Like, I haven't seen that done with breaking, so I've seen it with popping. And how does that make you feel?
Well, for me, that's one of the reasons why I don't watch people's videos, because I had a post the other day, and that's what I wrote a post on Facebook specifically about that. Like, a lot of these people, y'all believe your own hype. Most of y'all are just half-ass, and for me, it's like, it's half-ass. It's the ultimate, level of just not taking it serious. Like, a wave, anybody could do a wave now, but do you know how to wave? Do you know what waving is about? Do you know that waving is in popping, but it's also in belly dancing? Do you know that it's a motion? Do you really care about what you're trying to do, or is it just the moment to get applause?
Or
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like the difference. Also, in my class the other day, and online, one of my students was saying, it's the difference between doing the Running Man and the shuffle. You know what I'm saying? The Running Man is a cultural move from a time in hip hop. The shuffle is just, some fool jumping around on a video on YouTube for, that gets 7 million likes for doing nothing.
I believe the Running Man was switched into another form, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll leave the TikTokers at that, because they got their own thing going, and that rabbit hole is so deep. I don't think they're going to climb out of that one. But talking about hard work gets you to places, and putting in the time to get yourself out there and do your thing. You just told me you started off in the underground hip hop, breaking, popping scene and whatnot, and then as you kept developing your talent and your skills, how'd you go from dancer to choreographer? Now, one thing that I will say, you are, in my eyes, an incredible choreographer. I've seen your work. I've been blessed, and I got, what I'm going to say right now on air too. In hindsight, I didn't know because I was a kid, but I did the best that I could. But I appreciate you putting me in the, that what happened here in New York with Imagine Tap. You recommended me, and I went in there, and through you and your recommendation, I got to work and collaborate with some incredibly talented people that I had no idea about. And, thank you for that. And
No problem, my brother.
and it's the word choreographer is thrown around very loosely these days, but you made the transition from going from a hip hop freestyle dancer to choreographer. Like which job did it for you, and like how did that transition go about?
Well, the thing about it was, it wasn't a job. It was actually my first gig that came about with me being a choreographer. I was dancing in I used to pay every week to go to this club called Union Square. And apparently, with my boy Tron, they were going to have a dance show there with some, poppers and b-boys at the time. But when they decided to have the show, the dancers showed up. The club, the crowd was very rowdy and obnoxious, and so they didn't want to do the show. Now, we went to this club every week and just danced and freestyle, and so the organizers of the club, the promoters, two of them were dancers, and so they just asked my boy Tron, "Yo, could y'all get on the stage and just freestyle?" And so Tron grabbed two other of my brothers, and they jumped on the stage that night, freestyle. The crowd went crazy, and so they wanted to hire them to perform every week at this club. And they told them, "Well, we're down, but we're missing one person." That one person was me, and they told them that he's the guy that's going to put the show together. He's the choreographer. So that was really my start as a choreographer, and it was only because when we danced in the club, we would come up with stuff, and I would pull everybody together and put it in some kind of structure.
Right.
And that was the start of me becoming a choreographer. And I got my first gig in that club. And then my first gig as a choreographer for artists was for a rapper called Joski Love. He had a big song back then called the Pee Wee Dance. And that was the first thing I choreographed and staged his show. Then I got to work with Eric B. and Rakim, did their video. Then I got to work with KRS-One live in Union Square. Then I got to go on tour with Houdini. So it was a process of getting to work with different artists on different venues. Like I started in a club, then I got to do a stage show, then I got to do a music video, then I got to do on tour. So, it was a process of learning and just applying the little things that I knew about, putting together, structuring dances, together, and moving people as a unit. And then I just, over time, I got better at it, and primarily, again, going back to what my father, said, if you're going to do it, you got to take it seriously. You got to go 100%. And so every time that I got the opportunity to do that, I tried to do it better than the last time, and always look at it from the standpoint of, I'm trying to do something that I think would make me excited to watch, and make me want to get up and dance and take part in. That's always the perspective that I bring to it. I'm looking at it from the perspective of a fan, of a dancer, not of, I'm what I do is so good, or I'm nice, and that doesn't factor into it. I want to inspire the people that are watching.
That's a great perspective and point of view to have in your approach, and that's actually very admirable because, you you are your own worst critic, as you are the person that, you put yourself out there to put your best foot forward, and you got to move along in a way that you're able to grow from what you do, and of course appreciate the same thing that you're putting out there, right?
Exactly. I mean, a lot of things. I think at times people forget why they started what they're doing. I started doing this because I love dance, I love music. And
Yeah.
so that's the basis for everything that I do. I take it back to how I felt, when I hear the music that inspires me to dance. And I use that as my blueprint for whenever I'm trying to, build a choreography or a showcase or whatever I'm doing. It has to start from the why of what got you into it. And what got me into dance was I love the music. I love to move. I love the attention that I got from the ladies. So,
Yeah, don't we all?
hey.
Stretch. So talking about, doing it, like the reason of why you're doing it, at some point, you want to continue this career, and, you want to get paid. So now I'm treading into a little bit of controversial waters, because I believe there was a Dancer Alliance meeting that happened about a year ago, close to a year ago. I don't quite remember, but there was a Dancer Alliance meeting that you stole the show. You dropped that Stretch hammer of knowledge, and if I remember correctly, watching that video, not only was I laughing, not like in ridicule, but laughing at like all these mofos just got shut down because someone that actually worked hard and fought for them to be respected and treated accordingly, spoke up. And you mofos are the complete opposite right now. So I wanted to touch base on that. Like, how was treatment and pay like for you, way back when you were, coming up in the entertainment industry, the commercialized version of the entertainment industry?
Well, again, I got to go back to my father, the source of all of our strength, and mine in particular. He always taught that one of the first things that he taught me was, if you don't put a value on what you do, why would anyone else?
Yeah.
If you don't value what you do, if you don't put a price on what you do, then nobody's going to value it. And you have to value, all of your expertise. There has to be a figure to it, because that's what business is about. And he always told us, take care of the business first. Your talent in dance, none of that is going anywhere, but it's useless if you don't take care of the business end of it. And so when we first started doing, these shows and videos and stuff, I wasn't paying attention to the money aspect of it. I was more, hyped like everyone else gets that I'm able to do it. But very early on into that, again, is where my dad stepped in and said, you have to make sure, if you're going to do this and you're trying to do this for a living, then you have to make sure that you're able to make a living. You have to make sure that you're getting paid what you can pay your bills with. And that's what I was stressing at that meeting, that Dancers Alliance meeting, is that the business end of it, you guys are, I'm happy that you're excited about trying to dance and, working with the agencies and with artists, but they're paying their bills. Are you paying yours? You know what I'm saying? Y'all excited, but excitement, the landlord don't accept excitement, or exposure for, the rent.
Mm-hmm.
And so, early on, we were getting paid, badly. And we came to the conclusion that, no, when we went in to do something, we went in with the idea of, okay, look, you want us to do this, we're going to do it to the highest level there is, but you're going to pay us like that. We kept our that's why we were a clique. That's how we became the Mop Top crew, is because we were always working and partying together. And so we had, we moved as a unit. And that's what we always try to explain to people. The power is in our togetherness. Individually, we're all great, but together we're unstoppable. And we always looked at it from the standpoint of, if what we bring to the table is worth a bunch, are you willing to pay that? If not, there's no conversation to be had.
Unity, yeah,
you
unity,
know,
man. You guys got to be together making that stance.
exactly. And when you move as a unit, they can't come at you the way that they come at you individually.
Here's a quick story for you, Stretch, and this is one that I want everybody to, this is an empirical point of view that I have. So about 4 years ago, in 2016, January of 2016, there was a big snowstorm that the city was not prepared for. They shut the city down. If you could think back, it was in January of 2016, and I got a direct booking to work with Selena Gomez on SNL. And I'm taking that as, I already have a foot out the door. I was already getting ready to leave, block. I wanted to just pursue acting. And I'm like, you know what? It's free money. Why not? It's January. A lot of things aren't really popping off in January. So I do SNL. I go to the rehearsal. I get paid a fee for my rehearsal. And I'm like, oh, word, bet. I met the artist. I'm like, bet, yeah, she's cool, And mind you, I'm not by myself. I'm with like anywhere between 7 to 10 other people, And it comes show day. All we're doing, Stretch. And look, if I, Sick Mode, am in a performance, that the choreography is going to be the easiest thing ever, because it's Chinese to me. It doesn't compute. and not only that, but I was raised in the entertainment industry very luxuriously, because as a b-boy I come as a commodity. Oh, the dancers are going to do this and then open up for 4/8 counts for Sick Mode to come do his power moves, and then he's just going to exit. So that's always been me. And if I am in a production that has choreography, then it's going to be ABC 1, 2, 3. And that's exactly what it was. We were snapping our fingers on beat. And at some point we got up, we kept snapping our fingers, and then we sat back down while snapping our fingers. And the contract was very handsomely for what that was for. The producers caught that this is too easy of a performance. Why are we paying them this much? And then on the last minute, on the day that snowstorm hit, Broadway's dark, everything is shut down, but they were not. And we were hit with a $381, I guess we got just docked $381 of the final paycheck. Everybody's mad. We can't get a hold of our agent. Mind you, all of us are blocked. We all can't get a hold of our agent. Nobody is happy. Then the producer comes in, and this producer is like, oh, well, I'm ready to put in some background workers to come in and fill in for you, because, she basically said, why are you guys angry? You guys are just snapping your stupid fingers. And I'm over here like, whoa, 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 whoa. First of all, nobody's going to do it the way we do it. That's first of all. Like, yeah, we're snapping fingers, but I'm snapping these fingers like a freaking thug out here. Like, come on now. And then secondly, if that's what it's going to take, then fine. I'm going to step away. I'm out. And every other dancer looked at me like, like stunned. Everybody was stunned. And you know what? Nobody dared to walk out with me. Right. Nobody took the stance. Everybody was willing to
take a pay cut.
to take the pay cut. And then you know what ended up happening, Stretch? I'm in the elevator. I'm stacking up pizza and all types of water because, I'm like, well, now I don't have a job. It's a snowstorm. Let me go home and eat pizza and be upset. And another producer comes and stops me. And I fought for those $381 to be added back, and everybody else got it. I was upset that everybody else got it, but I was happy that we were all treated with that dignity and respect. And if you look it up, Selena Gomez on SNL, snapping fingers, we got roasted because it was the weirdest performance ever. But touching up on what you said about unity, if people are not together, and only one person stands up, then this is how the cycle continues. You're going to get played. It's okay. I just want the exposure. I want this. It'll, and I feel like that's a dilemma that we have now.
Well, the problem is everybody seems to think that, okay, if I tell you it's bad for you and another person tells you it's bad for you, people look at it from the perspective of, oh, it was bad for them. It won't be bad for me. Like, I'm special. And it's like they're going to jerk you. but you feel like, no, not me. They're not going to jerk me. They just jerk y'all. And it's so stupid. People just, they don't listen because they think that they're going to miss out. Not understanding that putting yourself in a position where you're not going to get what you're supposed to get, what you're, what you should get, what you're entitled to as an artist, they don't get that part. They think, I'm going to miss out on this opportunity, not understanding that the opportunity is going to make you miss out on the money that you should be getting to take care of yourself and your family and your bills. They don't look at it from that perspective. And that's the problem with dancers and entertainment. There's always somebody willing to do it for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that undercuts everyone else. And people don't understand that. They're either willing to do it for nothing or willing to do it for less. What you're doing is you're bringing down the standard. That's what I was saying at that meeting. When we were working in LA for years, we had set a standard that, when we do a music video, everybody gets paid. Not just us, everybody gets paid.
Right.
We set a standard. If you worked on a music video with us, you're at least going home with $1,000. At least. You're at least.
I don't even think that's what it's like today.
No, not even close. That's what I'm saying. And there's so many people that when I was doing Mariah, when we were doing Will, we made sure everybody got paid, not just us. It was about setting the standard, because if you set the standard, then the standard will stay. And people, like you brought up SAG-AFTRA, if you're part of SAG-AFTRA, guess what? You can't get paid less than a standard that they've set. You can't work more than a certain number of hours without getting overtime, without getting extra pay. These are standards that's set by a union. What is a union? It's people moving together as a unit, for the betterment of all. And people don't get that, especially here in the dance universe. That's why dancers are at the bottom of the totem pole. Mm-hmm. They don't listen. They think that they look at things individually and not, they look at the smaller picture instead of the big picture, and they only pay attention to the fine print when it pertains to themselves, not with everyone else.
Now, keeping that, what do you say about dancers that, I see it a lot now. You've got some established choreographers that they're getting paid very handsomely, but they persuade dancers to be like, take the cut, because now it's not just an individual decision that you're making. You see, I made the individual decision after I saw that I was getting jerked around and nobody followed along with me. But I've seen now instances where, not naming anybody, but there is a lot of choreographers out there that are working with big timers that they'll tell their dancers, you're going to get paid like $200 to dance like a 26-hour day. You down? Great.
Well, that's called integrity. And not many so-called choreographers have that. And this is one of the reasons why the dancers don't have it. Because the choreographers started out as dancers too, until they got into a better position of power. And then they've gotten corrupted by that same power. And they lost their integrity. How it looks ridiculous for me to ask to convince somebody I'm getting, $20,000 to choreograph a concert, and I'm going to ask, you want me to convince the dancers to take $200? I'm saying $200 is going to pay for what? That's their phone bill. That's a cell phone bill. That's a cable bill. That ain't helping them with nothing. Especially
that's like before taxes.
That's what I'm saying. So if I'm getting $20K, I'm not trying to see the people that I'm asking to do this get, $200. That's ridiculous. There has to be a medium. Again, a standard that you're willing to do, not just for yourself, but for the others, because what you do, what's being done to them will return and be done to you. You know, I'm one of the people that I believe in karma, and I believe that you should try to do your best, not just for yourself, but for the art. And so there's nobody that can tell you that on the gigs that we did that we didn't try to get everybody paid. I ain't try to convince people to do stuff for free or for nothing, because it's nonsensical. They have lives, they have bills just like everybody else do, and for you to sit there and try to convince somebody to take something that's like, some people try to convince. I've seen people talk to dancers not just to take pay cuts, but to do shit for free. Like, come on, it's ridiculous.
Oh man, look, Stretch, I can continue on this subject matter because trust me, there's many different avenues that we can touch up on this, but I'm gonna switch gears because I've kept you longer than I had asked you initially. But
No
I
worries.
want to ask one more, 1.5 more questions to you. I mentioned some of the people that you have been fortunate and blessed enough to work with early on when I first introduced you, but I didn't mention Michael Jackson. I did not mention Michael Jackson purposely because I feel that, we all know who Michael Jackson is. This guy did not need Instagram or Twitter to be like, yo, I'm going to be over here. No, you knew. And one thing about MJ is that you see old footage and people were watching. Nobody had a freaking cell phone trying to record anything and watching him through a time. No, people watched him. And if he looked your way, people fainted, or started crying. And there will never be an artist of that magnitude ever again while we are alive. It's just never going to happen.
Nope.
But you worked with him. And not only did you work with him, but when you watch Remember the Time, you're like right there. Like I see you loud and clear. It's not like, it's like, oh yeah, I'm all the way in the back. You got to really like squint and see me. And then, no, you're right there. Like, it's incredible. And not only that, but you collaborated with him. And I wanted to touch up on that, Stretch. Like, how did that all come about for you? And what was it like working with arguably the greatest pop superstar of all time?
First, let me say it's not arguably. Michael Jackson is at the height of his career, he was the second most famous person of all time next to Jesus Christ.
There you go.
So there's no arguably. He changed the face of music. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Dot. Let me give credit first off to Fatima Robinson, who was the choreographer for that video, and who brought me in to do the job, and also, God bless the dead, John Singleton, the director. Was his idea for the Egyptian themed shoot. Yeah. It came about basically because, again, for me, this is karma. Again, I met Fatima through my man Link. He had already known her and one of the dancers that she was with that's also in the video, who's actually my partner in the video, Tish. And he introduced me to them. I met them at a club. We were all in one night. And then I was working with Dougie Fresh at the time. And we were working with Dougie. I was working with Dougie Fresh and MC Hammer at the time. And I got a call to do they were looking for a choreographer for the Billboard Music Awards for LL Cool J. Yeah. And I was working with Dougie and MC Hammer up in Oakland, and so I couldn't do it, even though I was close. I recommended that they get a different choreographer in LA, and I recommended Fatima. And so they hired her, she got the job, and she called me to thank me. And she told me that they were doing, I should come to LA because they're going to have auditions for Michael Jackson. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. But, I don't want to dance for Michael Jackson, and she was just like, why not? I was like, because I don't want to dance for Michael Jackson. I've already been a backup dancer. I've already done all of that. I said, I want to choreograph for Michael Jackson. You know, I don't want to just dance. I want to be the motherfucker that shows him what to do. You know, we laughed and joked about it. And then a month later, she calls me on the set of a music video that I'm doing again with Dougie Fresh and MC Hammer to tell me that, guess what? We're going to be doing Michael Jackson. And
Hi-oh.
you know, and I hung up on her because I thought she was playing around. You know, I thought it was nonsense. I'm like, you know, get the fuck out of here. Excuse my language. Like, come on.
No,
Why
you're good,
you,
brother.
you know, like you calling me, I'm on the set working. Don't play with my emotions here. Talk about Michael Jackson. But, you know, long story short, it was real. And when she got the call from John Singleton, she immediately thought of me, you know, and she was like, um, you know, she told him, we got to get this guy from New York. You got to bring him out. Me and him together will do this. And so they called, they booked my flight, and, you know, the rest is history. And it was a trip because when we talked about it, when I got her the job for the Billboard Music Awards, it's like I was just, you know, she's a choreographer, she's a friend of a friend, and they're looking for somebody there. So it wasn't even like I thought of, oh, I'm going to do this and, you know, I'm going to get something out of it. I was just trying to look out, you know, for somebody that was in a position to do the job that I could do, which is what I've always done, you know, and when she called me back and to thank me and told me about the whole Michael Jackson thing, it was just a joke to me and her, because I didn't want to dance for Michael. You know, we talked about, like I said, I wanted to do the choreography, but it was all a joke. You know, it wasn't like serious like that. I thought, oh, I'm gonna, you know, this is going to happen. But that just goes to show you that, you know, things, as they say, God moves in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
You know, and when you pay it forward, sometimes you get paid back properly.
So far, what I've gotten a lot from you today, Stretch, has been unity and good karma. You know, every topic, every question that I've asked you comes back to union, to unity, and good karma. So, you know, I can't thank you enough, Stretch, for shedding some information and bringing some light towards a lot of issues. And I hope that a lot of people that are going to listen to this really take that as a takeaway. You know, it would come off as common sense to take it that way, but we live in a world where somehow this would be turned completely the other way around. You know, but Stretch, you know, before I let you go, you know, you've been in the industry for a very long time. You know, at the end of every segment for What's the Status, you know, I ask our guests to, you know, give the listeners a takeaway, you know, something that a quote or something that they can just remember and stay with, so that, you know, they stay with this message with them and hopefully inspires them to either change their way of seeing things or approach. So, and you know, and this is your time as well to promote your social media, what's coming up next for you, and of course, like, you know, what's next for Buddha Stretch.
Well, I mean, basically, what's next for me is the same as every day. I'm trying to do better today than I did yesterday. I'm praying that we all come out of this pandemic stronger than we were when we went into it, and more unified. Um, the the basis for me always talking about unification and karma is because we live under the illusion that we're all separate. We live under the illusion that we're all different. You know, we live under the illusion of, oh, we're all different races, we're all different ethnicities, we're all you know we're all we live under the illusion of our differences, and not under the reality of, you know, what we share, what makes us the same, what brings us together. And for me as a Buddhist, those are the things that I'm always trying to, you know, to make people aware of, is that we're more powerful together than we are separately. If you look in nature, everything in nature is interconnected. Everything works in harmony with each other. We are the only ones that don't work in harmony with nature because we think that we are somehow separate from it. and we're not. So, as far as, social media and all of that, I'm on Instagram, Buddha Stretch. I'm on Facebook. I'm teaching as I've been for the last 30 some odd years. I'm just doing it now virtually, as they call it, on Zoom. I have my Monday classes. I'm doing lectures. I just did a lecture for Stanford University last week.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, Stretch, I see you.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to, again, spread the message of that's the beauty of hip hop. Hip hop is the opposite of politics. It brings people together. When the beat drops, we're all under one. Politics separates you. Politics tells you that this is this and that is that, and that is the only way it could be. Hip hop tells you all of these things can fuse together to make something new.
Amen. Amen. Buddha Stretch, I'm giving you a round of applause. The amount of knowledge that you just dropped just now. And look, I have a ton of more questions, but I think we can leave it there for people to take in and digest all the information that you just shed light on, And most importantly, I just hope everybody really takes this message as unity and good karma and togetherness. And with that said, thank you once again, Mr. Buddha Stretch. And ladies and gentlemen, and everybody that's listening, that is What's the Status podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great one. And I'll see you all next week.
Be safe.
For more on What's the Status and to stay up to date, make sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram and YouTube at What's the Status Podcast. Also, feel free to reach out via email at what'sthestatuspodcast@gmail.com.